James, talk to us about what you're most excited about. Talk to us about some numbers here real quick, and talk to us about this gentleman here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a report that was introduced to us by smaller banking firm AGC Partners. Prepare to have your mind blown, right?
Okay.
Worldwide,
Yep.
take a guess. How many video surveillance cameras are deployed on a worldwide basis?
Oh my gosh. Millions, right?
1 billion.
Billion.
1 billion. And
Well, to
those
Greg's point, though, that's too many freaking cameras.
Well, that's worldwide, though. That's worldwide. Yeah. However, and those 1 billion cameras capture 1.44 trillion minutes of video each day.
So this is why I tell people, editing video is the time toilet, because
It really is.
when you shoot a 60-second commercial, most of these guys are shooting 7 minutes worth of video. Now we've got to go through another, or worse.
But here's the point. Here's the differentiation. Look at what we do, right?
Yeah, right.
We sit right in the middle of the stack from a monitoring standpoint, and using more clever ways using artificial intelligence. We can identify. We cut through the morass and we can identify which of those 1.44 trillion minutes are actually problems versus just regular occurrences.
Right. And when does this become best practices for everybody in the world, this type of technology?
Today.
You think so?
Today. It's got to be today. It's got to be today and moving forward.
Could you see overlaying this on almost every sort of type of instance in terms of risk management, this type of technology?
Absolutely, because it's preventative, it's not reactive.
Yeah.
So that's where we want to go with it, is preventative model.
Yeah.
So by being able to plug and play with existing equipment, using the Cloudastructure brain, it's a no-brainer. This is why I'm involved with this.
He talked about how much they love logistics and transportation as a new vertical. Talk about why that's so important.
Well, if you look at the amount of GDP that's delivered, right, to all of us,
right.
the transportation logistics part of that is critical to that infrastructure.
Are we talking cargo theft? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, cargo theft comes into play with that, right? That's where the impact to the expense is.
Yeah.
So if you look at cargo theft from 2021 to 2026, some estimates have the increase up to 1,500% of theft during that time. So in 2025, we saw a significant increase in the value of cargo theft going up.
Yeah.
So basically about 36% year over year, and the per incident cost of a cargo theft trailer is increased to about $273,000 per incident.
What are the biggest security failures that we may not think about here? Like where's the breach? Where's the common breaches that you see every time?
Well, there's three that I would say are the most significant, and one of them is what we call ghost monitoring, and that's where we have cameras existing, right? But the cameras either got unplugged.
This is the 7-Eleven robbery we always hear about. They have to
exactly, and it's really simple. Or it's a video that's been overwritten, or it's where you have what's called dummy cameras up that's there for deterrent.
That worked in 1980.
Exactly.
No, it did, because
but it still exists as we speak today.
Same 1980. I had a garage door opener on my hip and acted like it was a pager when I walked into a bar. Right? So I could look cool. But seriously, we were in our infancy technology-wise.
Right.
So continue on that thread, because I think there's some obvious things that the companies are not doing.
Absolutely. So another one is in parking lots and in trucking yards where there's a lack of video recording on vehicles coming in for license plate recognition or motor vehicle recognition, right? So both inbound and outbound. So what we're finding now in the litigation side of that is it's really determined, or it's deemed to be, a lack of security standards for companies not to have that technology. So that's the second one. And then the third one is what is referred to as the black hole camera lighting. So areas where they either have lighting but it's insufficient, lighting and it's not working properly, or no lighting at all.
It's so
all
interesting.
Of those three bring it up.
I remember the first time I built a TV studio many, many years ago, and I walked in, I was utterly unimpressed until they shut off the working lights and turned on these lights. And all of a sudden, Disneyland showed up. And it's so lighting is so critical to this thing. And I bet a lot of installation folks don't actually think about that. They're just want to get the cameras up and get pointed in the right direction.
Exactly, and there's no risk assessments involved in it, so they can't identify where the gap is.
The financial impact in terms of time suck of employees every time there's a theft or every time, I mean, you think about the loss of the thing, right? Or the breach of the perimeter. But you don't think about lost productivity with the people that have to handle it now because it happens. And that's why reacting and look at the past tape, in my mind, is worthless.
It is.
Because the preventative model means that we're not going to spend post-mortem time, in other words, post-theft time or post-breach time, having to deal with it. I mean, there's got to be a number there in terms of financial impact and liability, right?
Well, in 2025, they estimated that the total impact of the actual loss of merchandise was right at $725 million. But the American Trucking Association has come out and indicated that the total impact, hidden supply costs, hidden costs due to theft, what you're talking about employee hours, the total economic impact ranges between $15 billion and $30 billion.
It's just slightly under Mike's hangover.
Pretty much.
Loss of productivity.
I always go back to the Boston Marathon bombing and how they used, the street cans and how quickly they were able to ascertain, all right, there's the bad characters.
But there's a new vertical there.
Well, you get the sense that more people now are of the mindset, I don't mind if Big Brother is watching, aside, as opposed to that granola from the 60s, hey man, I don't want Big Brother watching what I'm doing.
I want Big Brother watching.
I want all the Big Brothers to be watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends on where geographically you're located within the country.
Okay.
It's a little bit.
You mean adoptability? You mean adoption rate in terms of willingness? Is that what you're talking about?
Or just
right.
mindset.
Accepting that
Yeah,
Big
okay.
Brother
Mindset.
is watching so much. Right? I think it depends on where you go, is whether or not they're for it or not.
Greg, real quick for you, in terms of, boy, can you believe it? Like 3 weeks, we're done with Q1. I know. Sorry, because that means he's got to do a Q. He's got to do a Q.
His hair just got more
right in the
gray.
middle of it all. A little more gray.
Yeah, and the K's not.
I should have thought about that. I said, but for you, you got the rest of the 3 quarters. Do you have in your mind plans on where you want to go, or do you guys stay the course, or are you wide open to these verticals that you're all talking about now?
No, the verticals are very much a part of the plan for this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
We did our planning, Q4 of last year, actually, Q3 and Q4, so that we had our ducks lined up to hit the ground. And it's, bringing in people like Ed.
Yeah.
To take us to help us go to that new vertical. I mean, we'd already made some inroads, but he's going to supercharge it.
Well, speaking of the new era, when I read about nuclear verdict era, what am I reading about? Can you explain that for us?
Sure. So into 2024, 2025, we really saw what's being called the nuclear verdict era come into play, where not only are the property owners themselves being held accountable through verdicts, but the carriers are too. So the amount of the verdict is going up. And where they're going with that is carriers are responsible for identifying high-risk, high-crime areas, and they're being held accountable for what's called negligent routing. So they're not informing the driver of a bad area, but they're routing the driver to go at a rest stop that's considered a high-risk rest stop or a red zone rest stop. Then there's something that happens, there's an assault, there's a fatality, there's a wrongful death, then that's where the nuclear verdict is coming in.
So this is much like, in your middle of New York City, you're sending your 5-year-old to walk to school by themselves in a certain area that's not safe. Is for you, in terms of solutions overall, before we get out of here today for Cloudastructure, what advantages do you? I mean, you're really tip of the spear inside stuff, and we're seeing stuff like just keep us safe and don't let us steal our stuff. What are you really seeing as primary Cloudastructure solutions in your mind for your area?
Well, the preventative is the reason why I wanted to be a part of this company. You get into being able to predict human behavior. You see it. You can have the perimeters that they're doing now in multifamilies where they see someone coming onto the property. They're able to voice down, stop the action from happening. But the ability to be proactive across the board and everything that is happening in their model is where we need to go. That's the solution. We want to prevent it. We want to be able to go back and look at all the movement that's happening real time and have somebody be able to make that alert to an agent that is on the ground. Sure. Something's happening, you're at this location. They have the ability to do that. Sure. And we haven't had that in the past, and that's the game changer for them.
Last question, what's next for CSAI in terms of expanding that you can tell us about? I realize you're a CEO of a public company, you can't say everything.
Right.
But what are you looking most forward to for the rest of this year?
Everything frankly, right? Everything that we've
too.
talked about, expansion into existing verticals, penetrating new verticals, introducing new products. Right? It sounds trite, but everything.
And I know my control room is going to kill me for this, but I remember working at what was called Price Clubs, called Costco as a kid, remember? And I was just thinking about your lease violations. What about employee theft for big box companies? Shrinkage.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's what's called shrinkage, or shoplifting and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
Is there an application for that, or will there be? Because it seems like that's a natural. When you go into Walmart, you go to Target. I mean, people are people, unfortunately, and that happens,
Right.
correct? There's reasons why guys
I
like
can
you
jump
exist.
all over
Yeah,
that,
please,
but
go
absolutely
ahead.
there's an application for that, right? You got to get by a data security issue, whatever the customer has with internal, so that you can get into their systems, utilize their cameras that are already there, and be able to. Nobody comes to work with the intention to do
Yeah, but there
something,
wouldn't
right?
be guys like you if everybody was honest.
Well, that's correct, right? Something's changed in their lifestyle for me to exist.
Right.
So how do we prevent that? How do we recognize that? It's all based on human behavior. So if you can recognize that from a prevention standpoint, then you can react to it timely.
It's funny because you don't see a lot of tellers stealing from the bank, but you see a lot of guys stealing canned tuna fish from
Yeah.
Costco and stuff like that. So it's interesting. Guys, I got to tell you, every time you're in here, it makes me think that we need to have you here every single month as a group. It's fantastic.
All right, so should we book it?
Let's book it.
We love coming.
As long as you're not monitoring the Funyun aisle at Costco, we're good to go. James McCormick, Greg Smitherman, Ed Burnett, Cloudastructure Incorporated, ticker symbol CSAI. Always great stuff. More great stuff the next time they're in studio with us.